What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today when I talk to you about Palantir, I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's really been coming out from the company itself and what analysts have been saying. Before getting to any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Palantir did have a pretty kick-ass Friday, closing 8.31% in the green, 82.16 the low, 87.27 the high. So pretty good stuff, very nice recovery. A lot of individuals and analysts are starting to say that the market has essentially bottomed, bounced off of a very key support level, and is essentially trending higher. And I think obviously Palantir is going to really benefit from that, because regardless of a lot of the fear in the broader market, what really came out recently from the AI PCon was that Palantir is there to increase efficiency. So regardless of the kind of macro conditions that we are in, it still essentially has all the criteria to still thrive in any like different type of environment. So I think Palantir, a lot of people are still hating on it, but at the end of the day, it is a beast. CEO is a beast, Alex, and so at the end of the day, I think Palantir is going to be still continuing to be fairly volatile, but I think all in all, it is going to really move higher. So a lot of the recent news and PRs is associated to the AI PCon. Recent analyst ratings, you did have this one. So Mark, he was the highest rating that Palantir's ever received. I think it was $141. He did recently lower that within, I think, was it 2 weeks, lowered it to $125. Still kept it as a buy. Mark, though, does have a 52% success rating, so just keep that in mind. But aside from that, last couple of ones that have come out 12 days ago, 120, 115, $40, and so of course you still have analysts not really getting Palantir. Wall Street just has always struggled with innovative companies such as Palantir, but as a consensus, $94.27, which does represent a 9.31% upside. Looking forward into this week, though, the only things that you have to really worry about, in my opinion, is on Wednesday, and that's the decision rate. So aside from that, you should have the broader market still piggybacking from the optimism from Friday. So you have Powell coming out, and obviously I think it's fair to assume that there won't be any cut. But what he states afterwards, if he's kind of hawkish or whatever else, then essentially the market is going to feed off of that and either break higher or lower based on that. But in the end, he recently did state, I think it was like exactly 1 week ago, that the economy is fine. No reason to really cut any rates. So most likely he's just going to kind of reiterate that same point, which in my opinion will really fuel the next level of optimism, really propelling just stocks even higher. So I know Palantir was on kind of a fine edge essentially on a technical standpoint, because it did hit this kind of area many times, that $77 range, 78. And luckily enough, it did bounce off of that. So with it at 86 and change, it is trading right now between this R1 and the pivot. So 84.84 will be a strong support. Just watch for that to hold going into this upcoming week. 89.17 and then 91.85 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. So I do feel that we will be having a nice kind of week, similar to last week. Even though it was very volatile, it still did close 8.18% in the green. So pretty good stuff. As far as shorts, I like to bring this up as more of a benchmark and kind of just for analysis purposes, not because Palantir is a squeeze play, but 2.83% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 61.2 million shares. So I look at a lot of different stocks throughout the day, and ultimately last week there was a hell of a lot of fear, various things, tariffs and whatever else, but shorts did double down on a lot of stocks, not in Palantir's case. So once again, reconfirming for the most part, if you read between the lines, that Palantir is a beast and really poised to move higher, because they're there out in the market to increase efficiency. And so that's, if you think about it, again, very desirable regardless of the circumstances that happen. So even if there is a lot of inflation, like companies are still going to be looking at to increase efficiency, cut the bottom line for the most part. So this is where essentially the layoffs might be coming down the pipeline, depending on if things get worse. But yeah, Palantir, honestly, I think their business model, initially when I first started to kind of hear about it, I honestly didn't really understand it. I kept hearing the fact that they're just focused so much on government, not on private, and just it didn't really work. And obviously after doing a little bit of research, like Palantir is like one of those companies. It's going to be a Nvidia type of scenario. So Palantir will be a $200-300 stock in the next couple of years. It's just patience, and you pretty much just have to buy when there's a lot of blood in the market, unfortunately. So you kind of have to feel like the world is ending, and those are the best times to buy. So even on Friday, shorts did return 130,000 shares. Again, not saying this because it's a squeeze play or anything, but it's definitely very bullish to see that. For options, you had 164 million in calls, 76 million in puts. 47% of all the options being done on Friday were bullish in nature, and of the call options that were done, you see a consensus for it to be roughly for this upcoming week around that $95-96 range. The bears on the flip side are anticipating for it to be, looks like sub roughly around 80, so more of a retest of that $78 range for the most part, but big money is still getting in. So if you're one of those individuals that is like myself that likes to read between the lines, look at the true data, big money is getting in, no matter given the circumstances and fear. So a lot of big transactions, 3.19, 3.4, all this was done after hours on Friday, which generally after hours on Friday is normally like crickets. You don't hear anything, but big money was definitely getting in. A couple big ones as well. So 2.8, 2 million, a lot of big ones right here. So yeah, honestly, I'm not going to go through every single one because there is probably more than about 600 transactions that did occur throughout the day above $100,000. So big money definitely was getting in. But going forward, just kind of take note of some of the strong support and resistance points, and overall based on all that, looking on the actual chart itself, let's kind of go over here for a second. So on the actual chart, it will be retesting that 50-day moving average, and that is sitting at $87.26. Historically, every time it has broken above that, it usually results in like a 30% swing. So this is where you could see back at that triple digit once again, hopefully. But again, just watch for that $87.26. Aside from that, the 100-day moving average is sitting at 74.82. So it's right now just kind of wedge bound between those 2 points. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're an options trader, it's been a dream come true. It bouncing kind of off of this general area. So yeah, it's been a fun time for Palantir investors. But if you loved it at the $120 range, you should be absolutely jumping over people to buy it at these prices. So let me know your general thoughts on Palantir. Do you think that it's going to be going higher? Do you think it's going to be going lower? What's your kind of 2 cents on all of that? Elliott wave technicals though do signal a little bit of a bottom, but I think that is encumbering a lot of the crazy volatility that we did have on Friday and plus throughout the week. So it does have a pivot point of $97.57. So for as long as it is below that, the Elliott wave technicals are projecting for it to be between that $60 to $67 range. So what's your general thoughts? Do you think it could hit that $60 range, or do you think we're going to be seeing triple digits? What's your kind of general thoughts on all of that? And what was some of your key highlights from the AIPCon that really stood out to you, aside from, like I said, just Alex really reiterating that it is there to increase efficiency, getting new partnerships, I believe a good dozen or a handful of them. So yeah, what's your kind of 2 cents on Palantir? Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What's your overall kind of thoughts on all of that? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.